All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the PowerPoint presentations for Murox ASP.NET 4.6 with C# 2015 6th edition. I am into Chapter 24 of 25, and we're up to the how to create a WCF service, which is figure 24.2 on pages 838 and 839. So, Windows Communication Foundation, or WCF, was first released as part of the .NET Framework 3.0. Today, WCF unifies older .NET Framework technologies, including web services, advanced web services, and .NET remoting. Now you can create a WCF service and host in one step by creating a WCF service application. That's what we're showing right here. So to start a WCF service application, you use the new project dialog that's shown in figure 24.2 on the screen and on page 839 in the book. This creates a project with a file named iservice1.cs. Now the easiest way to start a WCF service is to delete this file and the accompanying service1.svc file. Then you can add your own services file. However, some developers don't do that. They just remove the code and start creating. If you choose to rename the default files, Visual Studio displays a dialog box asking if you want to rename the services and all references. So if you're going to do that, you should answer yes. So to start a WCF service app, you select File, New Project, and then select the WCF template group, then select the WCF service application template. You enter a name and a location for the service application and click OK. Again, typically when you set up the folders and files for this, you'll delete the files iservice1.cs and service1.svc. Then you'll right-click on the project and choose the Add New, and then you'll go and select WCF service command, and you'll enter the new service name that you want and click Add. For example, they show in the book on 839, name the new service category service, which will add a category service.svc and an iCategory service.cs in the root directory. Now, since we are working still with a Halloween database, we'll right-click on the app data folder and add the Halloween.mdf file. We can then right-click on the project and add a new folder named Models. After we add that folder, we can right-click it and add a new class in there called category db.cs, which will be the data access class. We can add the database connection string for accessing the Halloween database file, also to the web.config file. So in this chapter, we're learning how to create a category service that lets a client work with records in the categories table of the Halloween database. As far as how to code a service contract interface, this is what's shown here and in figure 24-3 on page 841 in the book. So to define the operations of a WCF service, you code a service contract interface, which defines the properties, methods, and event that classes for the service can implement. In this example, we have the service contract interface for the category service. To start, the code defines an interface named iCategory service. You see that right here. To indicate that this interface defines a service, the statement that declares the interface is decorated with the service contract attribute. Similarly, to indicate that a method in this interface defines an operation, the statement declares the method is decorated with the operations contract attribute, which you see here, here, and here. Note that these operations in the interface either return a custom type called category or accept that type as a parameter. To create a custom type for a WCF service, you create a class and decorate it with a data contract attribute. Then you decorate each public property with a data member attribute. You can see those on the slide here. When you do this, it creates a data contract class that describes the data to be exchanged. Next, we want to come in, and once we have the service contract interface in place, we want to write the service contract class that implements that interface's properties, methods, and events. So an interface is like a class, all right? But typically it just defines a bunch of stuff that a class that implements it is going to have, okay? So figure 24.4 that you see on your screen here and on the next slide, but also on page 843 in the book as part of figure 24.4, it presents the category service.svc.cs file, which is the service contract that implements the iCategory service interface. Now, another way that you can work with this and return error information and the like is through the use of fault contracts, but that's not really discussed in the book. So what you see here, this category service starts by declaring a private category DB object. That's called data, and that is initialized with a class constructor right here. This is the data access class used to interact with the database. The rest of the methods implement the methods defined in the interface. For example, the getCategories method returns a list of category objects, and the getCategory by ID returns one category object based on the category ID that was passed into it. All right, we also have an insert category and an update category and a delete category. They all return integers. This is because the data access class methods return the number of rows affected by the operation. In some cases, you might want to return information in case an error occurs. An easy way to do this is to return a specific value if the operation fails, like a -1. As far as viewing and testing a WCF service, that's shown in figure 24.5 on pages 844 and 845. In this figure, the getCategory by ID method was double-clicked and the value of fx was entered for the ID. In the request pane. In the response pane, what you see there, so in the response pane, what you see there is the WCF service returned for type category. This is the custom type that was decorated that we saw back in 24.3. Although the response from the service is formatted in the response pane, you can also look at the raw SOAP request and response by clicking in the XML tab in the lower left portion of the frame. Down here. This will show the SOAP format that's required by the WCF services. When you create the service, WCF automatically creates asynchronous versions of each method. The figure also shows how to view information about a service in the service page in the web browser. This service page includes basic information about how to use the service, including some C# and Visual Basic code that can be used to do what's called consume the service from the client application. All right. So as far as how to test the service, that's shown right here. And as mentioned, you set the .svc file for the service as the start page for the application. You run the application to display the WCF test client window for the service. To test the service application, you double-click the operation in the left pane to display a tab, then enter the required parameters, and if you want to view the XML, you click the tab on the right, kind of what we just showed before. To view information about the WCF service in the browser, you right-click on it and select View, or you open the browser and type the URL shown in the left. Either way, the service page should be shown. All right. Now, what's shown next here is how to create this web service, or web application rather, I should say, that consumes a WCF service. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop right here, and that is where I will continue on with the next part of the video. So I'll be back with that in just a moment.